Hello and welcome everybody back to the LWN Network and our headline hits every day with me as your host, Tammy Nation, noon Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. Welcome on in. We've got some great headlines to cover. We know that the news has been popping each and every day for the last, 5 years, and it just never seems to stop. We had a great show with LW last night about some different things going on, and our whole goal here is to provide you guys with the truth as best we can find it, looking at all different sources and help to educate one another with information that is accurate and not one-sided. And there is a lot going on. Like I said, there always is. So welcome on in. We're going to go ahead and get started. But if you can, please make sure that you like and share this channel if you like what you're seeing and hearing. And we sure do appreciate your support in that way. Let's go ahead and get started, because the first article that we have to cover today, we had heard rumors about the different cities that were sheltering illegals in hotels. Well, at this point, we are starting to see the transparency of that situation, because 2 hotels that were used as migrant shelters in New York City are now under criminal investigation. The news is coming after Mayor Eric Adams said that his city was overflowing with border crossers and illegal aliens. The U.S. Department of Justice is now probing funding and operations at the locations that have also received subpoenas. The Roosevelt Hotel was being used as a migrant shelter and intake center, while the Stewart Hotel was being used as a migrant shelter. In addition, the Hotel Chandler also received a subpoena, but the location is reportedly only a shelter for the homeless. The Fox article said the subpoenas mention an alleged violation of federal immigration law. According to CBS New York, about 170 migrants have been processed via the Roosevelt Hotel since 2023. The outlet said officials are reportedly asking for the names and birth dates of migrants connected to those locations. And in regards to the Roosevelt Hotel, according to reports, New York City, get this, agreed to pay up to $220 million to the hotel, and it is owned by the government of Pakistan. Why the government of Pakistan is owning a hotel in New York City, the United States of America, is beyond me, but that deal was reportedly part of the $1.1 billion IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, bailout package to help Pakistan avoid defaulting on their international debt, according to the former investigative banker and author John Lafra. But more recently, the Elon Musk, who leads DOGE, we know that DOGE has been facing a lot of problems and setbacks from people. The people that want transparency and truth don't have a problem with it. That's what we voted in, but some others are having problems with it, as we're well aware of. But they did announce they found 59 million FEMA payment to the house illegals in luxury hotels in New York City. So DOGE has found $59 million from FEMA payment to those hotels to house those illegals. The payment comes after the Biden administration had claimed FEMA was not using funds to support illegal aliens. It's just categorically false. It's not true. Former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters in October they were not funding these illegals through FEMA, but it's a lie. She lied to us at Biden administration, and Biden himself lied to us. And not long after Musk's announcement, Adams said in late February that the Roosevelt Hotel would be shut down over the next few months. So we're going to have to see what transpires with that. The next article we have up, Kash Patel took to social media to report, along with our interagency partners, the FBI and DOJ, we extradited 7 cartel leaders from Colombia allegedly responsible for funding thousands of kilos of drugs to our southern border, ultimately trafficking them onto our streets. This operation, coordinated with agencies like DEA, CBP, and local partners, strengthens the fight against drug trafficking impacting U.S. communities, your and my communities, especially with the rising fentanyl crisis. I myself work in a hospital, and I see that a lot in my area as well, unfortunately. It only takes one time for one of these children or an adult to take something and be laced with that, and they face dire consequences. A 224 DEA report indicates that 70% of fatal overdoses in the U.S. involve this opioid, with key routes originating in Colombia. The leaders not publicly identified for security reasons are linked to organizations smuggling drugs through Mexico into the U.S. Their arrival in Florida marks a crucial step in dismantling transnational criminal networks. This action comes amid Trump's intensified anti-drug policies, with the administration reporting $7.2 billion in drug-related asset seizures in 2025, tripling previous year's figures. So these are no small numbers. This is a major crisis we're having in this country, and I'm glad that Cash is on top of it to start eliminating all the situations and all the tentacles to be able to rid our country of these deadly drugs. The next story we have, it's more judge moves that are kind of shady, nutty, crazy. A federal judge, James Boasberg of the D.C. Circuit, temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order to fast-track the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members out of the U.S. We know that we've seen planes, and they've been deporting like 300 or so of these illegal gang members. And he ordered planes full of suspected terrorists to turn around to the United States. So that judge wanted to block President Trump from deporting these illegals, but we saw that it didn't work very well, because we saw that the planes did deport these illegals. So President Trump's proclamation, it is, of the seldom used Alien Enemies Act of 1796 says all Venezuelan citizens 14 years or older who are suspected Aruga gang members cannot become citizens of the United States, but the ACLU filed a lawsuit claiming that the Alien Enemies Act could be used to deport any Venezuelan in the U.S. regardless of whether they are affiliated with TDA. So the chief U.S. district judge agreed with the ACLU and went against President Trump, granting a temporary restraining order preventing the deportation of 5 Venezuelans yesterday who were already in U.S. custody. Yet these 5 people have already been proven to be part of the gang, and one was ordered to be deported by the Biden administration in 2022, yet he found his way into Chicago, where he was arrested 4 times. USA Attorney General Pam Bondi responded with the D.C. trial judge supported an Iraqi terrorist over the safety of Americans. So the Department of Justice is undeterred in his efforts to work with the White House, the Department of Homeland Security, and all of our partners to stop this invasion and make America safe again. Now, as the number of illegal migrant crossings and illegals continue to drastically plunge under the Trump administration. Well, President Trump got wind of this, of course, and he was going to take this sitting down. He came out with a statement on his social media stating, this is his words, this radical left lunatic of a judge, of a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by the Barack Hussein Obama was not elected president. He did not win the popular vote by a lot. He did not win all 7 swing states. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate. But fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. President Trump continues saying, I'm doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We do not want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again. As well, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posted a video online showing the gates of the border wall closing behind her, stating that this is an announcement to the entire world. America's borders are closed to those who want to come here illegally. We only want people in our country who love America and want to follow our laws. So what do you think? The ACLU would file a lawsuit to keep them here. And why would a judge try to block deportation of criminals? They're putting the criminals' benefits and their lives ahead of American safety. And that's just ridiculous. And then breaking from Breitbart this morning, get this, a Soros-linked network is partially behind the lawsuit from that judge attempting to stop President Trump from deporting illegal gang members. It is a legal firm with deep ties to George and Alexander Soros's network of left-wing nonprofit and NGOs. President Trump is deporting these gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. And you got to keep in mind that these are not good, nice, decent people. These are criminals and gang members. These judges and other networks of people are trying to keep in our country. So we have to keep an eye on that. And we see how these ties come in. A story will come out, and then the next day we have President Trump or his administration talking about it, and then we have the ties of who these people are tied to and why they're doing what they're doing. And we're seeing that it is definitely not benefiting the United States of America. As we continue on, Israel has launched a series of decisive air attacks targeting Hamas terrorist strongholds within the Gaza Strip. In a bold and necessary move to protect its citizens and sovereignty, this action comes in direct response to Hamas's blatant refusal to release Israeli hostages and its continuous threats to Israeli security. This early Tuesday morning, it was Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, executed extensive airstrikes across Gaza, marking the most significant military action since the ceasefire agreement in January. In accordance with the political echelon, the IDF and ISA are currently conducting extensive strikes on terror targets belonging to the Hamas terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military has ordered residents to evacuate eastern Gaza and relocate towards the center following a series of airstrikes across the region, according to the AP. The directive issued Tuesday night signals the potential for renewed ground operations by Israel. Israel Defense Minister and Israel Katz stated that the renewed attacks on Gaza were a response to Hamas's refusal to release additional hostages following the release of the 33 captives during the initial 6-week phase of the ceasefire agreement that they reached in January. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that Israel did consult Trump and his administration prior to its recent airstrikes in Gaza. In an interview with Fox News, Leavitt said the Trump administration and White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. She continued, as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas, the Houthis, Iran, all of those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose. All of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America and our friend and our ally, Israel. And we have to remember that President Trump made it clear, you guys, that failure to comply by January 20th, which was his inauguration day, would result in severe consequences for that region. He said all hell will break out if they are not back in by the time he got into office. And he said in the Middle East, it will not be good for Hamas. It will not be good, frankly, for anyone, Trump warned. And after the president's ultimatum, Hamas officials stated they are willing to negotiate a ceasefire agreement with Israel. However, during the initial 6-week phase, the previous ceasefire, Hamas violated those terms once again. So they did violate the terms and their promises. So that is what is going on, up to date with Hamas and Israel. Another note that we have to note here for DOGE, as we go through a few quick hits here, stories that I think are important, that even though we hit the highlights of them, it'll keep you up to date. So DOGE, what is the biggest scam uncovered by DOGE per Elon? The biggest scam we have uncovered, which is really crazy, he stated, is the fact that the government gives money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls, and then there's no auditing. So this is where you find like $1.9 billion going to Stacey Abrams. Then they give themselves extremely lavish, insane salaries. They expense everything to the nonprofit. They are buying jets, homes, and all sorts of things. They live like kings and queens on the taxpayers' dollars. Now, we thought that was going to happen here and there with people. We assumed that was happening because we said, hey, how do these people make so much money? Why are they worth millions on a small salary? Or like, let's say they make 100,000, 300,000 a year and they're multimillionaires. Well, it says right here that they've uncovered the biggest scam because they just line their pockets. So once again, we were right again about things going on in our government that weren't very forthright, and we're going against what their oath of office they took, and all the things that they take away from we, the American taxpayer dollar. We suffer all the consequences of this corrupt government. So me, for one, I'm happy that DOGE is taking to task all these people, and that each and every one of them should be held accountable. As we go on to the next story, Hunter's security detail was pulled by President Trump. Yep, Hunter Biden has had security service protection for an extended period of time, all paid for by who? You and me, the United States taxpayer. Once again, we're paying for people like this and protection. There were as many as 18 people on his detail, which is ridiculous. He is currently vacationing, get this, in all places, South Africa, where the human rights of the people has been strenuously questioned. Also, because of this, South Africa has been taken off our list of countries receiving economic and financial assistance. Please be advised, President Trump says, effective immediately, Hunter Biden will no longer receive Secret Service protection. And likewise, Ashley Biden, who has 13 agents, will be taken off of that list as well. It is infuriating to me to know that our money has been wasted on this for so long, especially after we have found out what kind of person Hunter Biden is, all the things that he has done against the American people, and it really fries my keister. I don't know about you, but I'm so tired of hearing these stories, but I'm thankful that things are being taken care of, that there is discovery, and that we are going to find resolution hopefully soon down the line. And the end of this constant money stream is ending for these people, taking out of our mouths, of our children and our futures to support people like this. Up next, this is kind of a big story here, that the JFK files, all of them are to be released today, according to President Trump. He's announced that. So many of us have been waiting a long time for these files. There have been so many documentaries made, movies made, theories, videos, names involved. I'm hoping that these files are going to be informative and complete without the tons of redactions that we've seen. I hope that it is a lot better than the Epstein files. I know they're still working on them, but there's been kind of crickets as far as the Epstein files. And we talked about that last night on the LWN network on the show with LW. I'm very hopeful and optimistic because we can't have this be another letdown. Definitely, we deserve, the American people, to know all the answers. As ugly and as stressful and disappointing this is, to know how corrupt our government has been, and people tied to the local government all the way up to the states and federal. It's going to be refreshing once we start seeing these people pay the price, and our money is coming back into our pockets, back to us eventually, as the Trump administration is exposing this and is going to hold people accountable. Next up, we have FANI has to pay up. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has been ordered to pay more than $54,000 for violating the state's open record laws in relation to the prosecution of President Donald J. Trump. The county's superior judge, Rochelle Krause, formalized her ruling Friday and ordered Willis to pay $54,000 in attorney's fees and litigation costs after intentionally failing to provide records requested by Ashley Merchant, who is the attorney who filed the motion to disqualify Willis from prosecuting Trump on charges of allegedly interfering with the 2020 presidential election. Here we are, more accountability coming for people. Krause stated that Willis's office failed to provide documents related to the employment of Nathan Wade. Remember him? He was the former special assistant district attorney forced to resign from the Trump case due to his romantic relationship with Willis. Remember, she was paying him. They were using money and they were taking vacations and having all sorts of fun on it. Well, Merchant believed that Willis and Wade may have financially benefited from Wade's appointment as the special prosecutor in the case. Today, President Trump, this is the last story of the day. Today, President Trump will be speaking to President Putin concerning the war in Ukraine, amongst many other things. Many elements of the final agreement have been agreed to, President Trump said, but he said much remains. He stated thousands of young soldiers and others are being killed off. Each week brings 2,500 soldier deaths from both sides, and it must end now. He's been saying that for a long time. He wants it to end. He says, I look very much forward to the call with Putin today. So we will obviously see the results of that phone call and the negotiations. We know that Zelensky has agreed to a 30-day peace agreement ceasefire. And we know that he did not like that Putin agreed to it too as well, because Zelensky does want harder rules and regulations applied from the U.S. to Russia, because he feels Russia is untrustworthy and that Russia has not stood up to their end of the bargain in the past. So there's a lot of different tools and key maneuvers that they need to resolve here to get this settled down. You know, a ceasefire is obviously, it goes without saying, beneficial for every single human being in the world. People should be able to negotiate. People should be able to talk. People should be able to not have to use firearms and missiles and everything else to destroy innocent lives. War is ugly. War is nasty. We all know that. So let's pray today that they do be able to come to some kind of peace settlement, and that they can further negotiate with Russia and Ukraine to end this, because we know we've got all this going on in Israel and everything as well. So it is very concerning times, everyone, but keep the faith, stay strong. Take care. That is what I have for Headline Hits today. I will be back tomorrow at noon with another Headline Hits. In the meantime, take care. God bless. Once again, thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.